Hi, my name is Dani Gasparini, and welcome to this segment of Penn Voice. I am joined today by Kathy Kleinbaum, who is, as of today, the Deputy City Manager of San Mateo. Kathy, welcome, and congratulations.
Thank you.
We are scooping the community and having you here as Deputy City Manager of San Mateo. Tell us just a little bit of what life is like as a Deputy City Manager for San Mateo, and then I know you have something specific we'd like to chat about.
Sure. So it's a really great job. I'm really happy to be in it. So the Deputy City Manager really provides support to the City Manager. I manage all the programs in the City Manager's office, which are very diverse, including sustainability, economic development, communications, and volunteerism. In addition, I also handle a lot of public policy issues that don't neatly fall in another department, with minimum wage being an excellent example of that.
Well, and let's just jump right into it. So San Mateo has decided to take the lead, really, both regionally and, of course, in San Mateo County, on this minimum wage law issue and what you call social equity. So tell us a little bit about how you came about wanting to be one of the first cities to look at increasing minimum wage, not only in San Mateo County, but in the region.
So there has been a lot of talk in the region, and some other cities such as San Jose and San Francisco have really taken the lead in the region of setting a minimum wage. It originated a couple years ago at the City Council with their priority setting session where, as we're grappling with the increasing expense of living in this area.
Yeah, especially housing.
So housing is one side of the coin, but wage equity is really the other side of the coin. And we have so many workers that are struggling to live in the community and to make ends meet because their wages have not increased and have stagnated for years. So our City Council made it a priority to take on this issue. And it was a long journey to get to a final policy that made sense, but the council was committed all the way through to seeing it to the end.
I know you provided us with some statistics, and I think it says that nationally the wage is $10 moved to $12.
So actually, the federal minimum wage has been $7.25 and has not changed for years and years and years. The state of California has recently taken an initiative to increase the minimum wage to $15 by 2022, but the current wage in California is $10.50 per hour.
So I feel like it's a fairly new conversation that now counties and cities are actually saying we need to regionally or within our own city do something better even than the state, because not only is our state different from what the federal average wages are, but then we differ so much city by city and by county within the state. So is that kind of what was your impetus in saying, look, what are our real living expenses for our community folks?
I think that's exactly right. Living expenses vary so much by community. Even within San Mateo County, there's certainly higher cost areas than others. And I also think that on the local level, we're trying to set the tone, and the hope is that our surrounding communities will follow suit and we'll have a higher regional living wage or minimum wage. If you think about it, across the state of California, the cost of living in Bakersfield is significantly different than it is in the Bay Area, and it doesn't make sense to have the same wage in Bakersfield as it does in San Mateo County.
Well, it's still a significant conversation to have, and you mentioned one of your other responsibilities is economic development, so which means we want to have a thriving business community. So how did you work with companies that are now going to be greatly impacted on the expense side of providing this livable wage?
So we reached out to a lot of stakeholder groups in the business community, and I will say that there wasn't a lot of support on the business community side, especially the restaurant industry. They're really the hardest hit, with waiters in the state of California being required to get the minimum wage, even in addition to tips. It creates a lot of wage compaction among their workers. So even if busboys were originally making more than the minimum wage, they want to make even more than the waiters are making. So the restaurant industry is definitely the hardest hit, and it was a very tough conversation to have with them to say that the City Council really feels that this is of greater importance to support the families within our community, and we're really trying to work with them to mitigate those business impacts, but it's definitely not easy.
Yeah. So let's just reiterate. So what for San Mateo, the City of San Mateo, what is the increase what is the minimum wage as of January 1, 2017?
So the minimum wage went up to $12 per hour.
Okay, and the state minimum wage is
currently $10.50
50.
per hour.
Okay.
For businesses with 25 or more employees, and the state took a two-tiered approach. So smaller businesses only pay $10 per hour, those with 25 or fewer employees.
So did San Mateo decide to take the two-tier approach, or is it that same minimum wage for all?
That was really an issue that the council wrestled with quite a bit, but we heard a lot from restaurants. Actually, you'd be surprised of how many employees restaurants have, and there was a lot of concern that there would be an inequity between restaurants if one had to pay this minimum wage and another restaurant down the street had a different wage. So it actually came from the business community. They preferred not to have that exemption for small businesses. So San Mateo didn't move forward with that, although there is an exemption for charitable nonprofits.
I think on the positive side, you probably looked at what you hope will then attract from an employee standpoint. So people who are looking for jobs, knowing that in San Mateo there is a better wage, so you will attract quality workers and folks that want to be in San Mateo. Was that part of the discussion?
It was part of the discussion, and we hope that it'll create more loyalty to their employers. So, you know, people that are able to hire. One of the issues is that they don't keep employees long. With the cost of living being as high as it is, people move around a lot. But with the higher minimum wage, we're hoping that more people will stay in stable employment and be loyal to their employers.
Right. And I know the outreach effort was grand. I mean, there was a lot of conversations and a lot of data and a lot of compromise and really. So tell us a little bit about that process, because it's one that I think other cities might look at, businesses and residents, to say this is something we'd like to replicate.
So it was a really extensive process. I believe the minimum wage went to council 4 times before final adoption, and there were so many different policy iterations that went forward. And even before that, there was a lot of outreach, as I mentioned, to stakeholder groups, meetings with the business community, meetings with the labor community. So it was a very extensive process and a large community conversation that occurred both at the city council but also in smaller groups outside of those formal meetings.
I think we have to give all sides of this conversation, both the business community, the consumer, the employee, and the city council, a great deal of thanks and congratulations. It's a tough conversation. There's really no winners in it, in the sense that we've got to do something to improve our workability and livability in our communities, no matter how we look at it and where we might stand on the equity range. So I know that the council sort of looked at this social justice, this social equity issue at large. What other kinds of things will they be looking at, or is this sort of the first step in, fair and livable wages for their community?
I think for the time being, the minimum wage ordinance is really a very big, important step, and I don't know that there's another step that's going to follow. We're still looking very hard at the housing side of the equation and doing what we can to improve housing affordability in the area, which is a very, very tough issue to tackle. And
if businesses have any questions about what this really means and what it means for them, and sort of the implementation, and then also the monitoring, so that you're ensuring businesses are in fact paying the minimum wage, how will you go about that continued conversation? And monitoring, I guess. Yeah.
So we're trying a very robust outreach effort, after the ordinance was passed, to make sure that everybody's aware. We've done two mailings to every single person in the city's business license database, whether they were a home occupation and had only one employee or not. We just wanted to make sure the word was spread as widely as possible. In addition, we translated materials into 3 languages, so they're in Spanish and Chinese as well. And we've been creating flyers and giving them to various nonprofits and churches in the community, trying to make sure we reach as broad an audience as possible so that people are aware that this is in place, because for some businesses, especially where the owner doesn't necessarily speak English, it may be hard for them to fully understand.
Okay. Thank you. And Kathy, we're out of time now, but what we will do at the end of this program, we'll put up the link and the information as to where any business or individual has questions about this, where they can go to get the answers. So thank you again, and congratulations as Deputy City Manager of San Mateo, and thanks for bringing this really important topic to us here on Penn Voice. And we'll see all of you next time on Penn Voice.